Greetings, Patrick here. Eight questions with. Welcome to the show. Wow, another dark and cold Michigan night. We were supposed to get a little bit of snow tomorrow. Glad we didn't get it today. We didn't get it today. Supposed to get it tomorrow. Um, so uh, yeah, I think that we're gonna have a normal winter, whatever that means. Well, glad you guys are here for the show. Last week we had a lot of fun. Uh, we had a lot of fun with our show last week. Um, we got to talk to Chase Cortez de Vargas. We got to talk to Kayla, and we got to talk to Kit Wilson, and we got to talk to Christopher Pelton, who runs the podcast. The Horror Connection. Yes, it has. Yeah, I was pretty much DOA this weekend. MIA, I guess MIA. This weekend, last 3 days, I sort of took it off. Uh, Sort of unplugged. Really wasn't online for the last 3 days. Um, yeah, I just needed a rest. Need a rest. I have not taken my hiatus. I generally take a month off. Um, During we're doing good. He is downstairs sleeping. So, and we're up here working. We generally take a month off during the year to recharge the battery, and I have not taken mine in over a year. So I am deciding which month to take off. I think it's going to be February. February, me and the Cheetah, we're going to go ahead and make that our unplugged month, and just going to go ahead and just totally relax, maybe do a show here and there. But as far as being doing content, we're gonna probably stay on the lowdown. It is, it's just yeah, I'm burnt. I've hit that wall. Between that and the holiday season, I'm ready for a break. I'm ready. Um, yeah, I'm. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Let's see. I know I've been doing things as well. Did catch the replays and like them. Wish you. Anthony says he needs vacation too. Yeah, you know what though, we'll keep going. Like the thing is with YouTube is that when you do take a break, what you want to do too is you want to make sure that you're releasing at least one or two things a week. Means you can just do 5 minute review. It's really all they care. Uh, I would love to have her back, and you know what? We will make that happen. We're going to do a watch along with her, Steven. We'll do a watch along with her on one of her movies. So when I get recharged for that, I definitely will contact her and ask her for that. Yeah, yeah, that would be fun. I would really like that. I know that she had mentioned the replay before or the watch party before, and yeah, I don't see why we can't do that. I'm supposed to be doing another watch party too. Um, in the in but I think I'm gonna wait till I was gonna ask him for come in on December to do a watch party. I was gonna have Michael Cassie come back in and we are gonna do a watch party again. But he is so close to wrapping up his current films right now. I don't think he'd be available right now. So I decided I'm gonna push that back too. Maybe we could do it in January or March. We'll see. Uh, so February, I think it'll be a good month for me to unplug for a month and just totally relax, get my fires built up again. It's been really helpful in the fact that I've had some outstanding shows, and that's really been the incentive. It's like I really want to take the time off, but unfortunately, I keep getting my guests are coming on and are just crushing it. So it gives you energy for that. Like, man, I got Christopher Pelton came on and talked to me. Yeah, I want to let's do another one. We definitely got some energy from that, but I could definitely tell it's time for that. It's time for a break. Um, and tonight, let's see. Yeah, I have to do that. Yeah, I have to do that as well. Uh, we'll have to see. I'll have to see. I'll have to see about that. I saw that Taken is now out on Tubi, so I would love to do a watch party for them if they're comfortable with that. I would like that. Right now, it's still relatively new, so I really like to try to get them out there and so people could watch it. But yeah, I definitely would love to do that. Plus, they got the brand new film that's in the going to be hitting post production here, The Wide West. The Wide West will be coming out pretty soon. And Tatiana actually did an action movie with Cynthia Rothrock, so I saw that as well. So there's a lot coming up. Let's see, yeah, John, yeah, that would be tough to watch, to watch John, because it's like we know what happens to her in the movie, and you're like, I have a hard time with that. I gotta admit, I was honest with somebody the other day. I was sitting there saying how it's really hard right now to watch people you talk to. It's really hard to watch them die on screen for me. It's like, yeah, hey, look who's here. It's Hobbs. Hobbs is here. I just want to let you know that me and the Cheetah, we were in Michigan. We were in Michigan when Joe's house was broken into. This the Steelers had nothing to do with it. Congratulations though on yesterday though, beating the Cowboys. Gonna make the last week of the season very interesting for Cat Food Bowl 3. Um, uh, Hi Cheryl, congratulations on 500. Yes, 500. That means you'll be going live soon. Yeah, that's the good thing about that. I was talking to so many different people about that, about how it's really tough. It's different from when you don't know them at all. And even the thing is though, I had to be talked into watching one really well known kill, because I know the person really well, and we talk, and then I was told to go ahead and watch it, get off my ass and watch it, because I have to admit, I mean, it's some fantastic work, and it has nothing to do with the actors. It's just seeing them die like that. Some of those deaths are like, ooh, ooh. But I have totally dig the hard work they went into it. So I'm gonna have to do that. I'm probably just going to get a bunch of movies that I know people that we've talked to that have died some gruesome deaths, and just do a watch party here at the house with me and the Cheetah. Um, so that's what we're doing. We're gonna be like I said, we're gonna take a break off. That'd be a good thing for me to do when I'm taking my break off. That's a good idea. Hopefully you're doing well, Josh. And yes, and Cheryl will be doing her first live. I'm excited for you, Cheryl. You're gonna have a lot of fun, and you'll have no problem getting anybody you want to come out there and hang out with you. That'll be yeah, only two of us likes. I will say that I one thing I want to say, and I'm going to say it right here. There will be a little bit more co-hosting on the show too, as I will be looking to talk to our good friend Hobbs here to come on a little bit more. Me and Hobbs, when we do get together and we do the 8 questions with, we definitely have a lot of fun together. A lot of fun. If you, we have several shows that we have done together, including one with Courtney Gaines. So it was a hell of a lot of fun. And let's see. See, I have an idea. If you get Karen Cleese again, I'll get John Marie. Yeah, yeah. Karen's death was the favorite of last year. That was the number one death last year. The number one death this year would not be Karen Cleese. I can tell you that right now. The number one death this year is I again, I guess you'll have to watch the coffee table for that. And I hear the coffee table was playing for free on Tubi now. I hear that is on Tubi. And Cinephobia has also gotten a distributing deal with Severin. So you can pick up any xenophobia movie from Severin, and Kino Lorber for art exploitation. Uh, James is actually out of the country. James is he is in Europe. He is going over there with Jonas, and they are there to watch their friends Winterford Wintersword to play live over in Europe. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get Eli Roth. Though I have to say I shouldn't say never, because I never thought I'd be sitting here talking to I never thought I'd be there talking to Joe Lynch either, right? And thanks to Stephen from House of Horrors, I'm very grateful, by the way. Man, I probably have not said that enough. Extremely grateful for that, Stephen, to Stephen Flug, our friend from House of Horrors. I got to sit in and co-host with Joe Lynch. Definitely a major highlight for me in 2024. To talk to Joe Lynch is just that was just like that was cool. I honestly I just know the guy is so insanely busy. I just it's like one of those things where it's like, yes, do I think Steven can get a show like that? Do I think I can get a show like that? We do. We do. We feel like we can go out there and get anybody we can. The key is to get them to answer our first question, our first time we contact them. Like, hi, how are you? And then once we talk to them a little bit, and then we get the communication, then it will happen. But you have to respect the schedule, because the schedule is everything, right? Everything. I mean, Jamie Hill is a working actress, and she can tell you that not everything that she plans for will happen the way she plans it, because of scheduling and meetings, and and auditions. It's You have the best of intentions, but sometimes life just takes over and it gets really busy, and you can't do things you want to do. So um Yeah, I saw that. I saw you got. I saw that John's been there, and I think John is, or JT is actually. I think he's on after me tonight. He is on after me. He is doing his interview with Jim Warnarski tonight at 10 o'clock. So after this show is over, then JT will be on with Jim Warnarski. I hope people show up for that. Jim Warnarski he's a hoot. I mean, that guy's got so much history underneath his belt. He's sort of like an Uncle Lloyd. He's sort of like an Uncle Lloyd and Roger Corman. Uh, was it yesterday? I thought it was today, the 10th. I thought it was the 10th. I think it's the 10th. I think he's live too, which really surprises me, because I was like, wow, he got him on at 10 o'clock. I was like, that's pretty impressive. Just the fact that he got him on is pretty impressive. Hey, brother Max is here. And again, I'll say hello to our friend Jamie Hill. Glad she is here in the chat. Tonight we'll be talking with filmmaker Ed Castaneda, who runs Subliminal Ed Films, and he is also. Last week we talked to Kit Wilson, who is a prolific short film filmmaker. And so is Ed Castaneda from Subliminal Ed Films. He also is a prolific short film maker. That is, this is what he specializes, is short film, and he takes them to festivals all over. So I knew this when I booked it. I'm like, man, we have a lot of short filmmakers in here, but I'm in for it. I watched some of Ed's films. I watched one he did called Bones. Uh, could be our own Mr. Bones in that movie. Um, that was very chilling in a 4 minute burst of energy. Really enjoyed that. Very effective, and some of his other films that he has done a lot of the 48 film hour challenges. Um, some of the other films he has created is Rock Bottom. No More Dragons. He's got um, Bones, like I said, and Invited. Invited looks to be very disturbing, very disturbing. So of course, we're there for that, right? Of course we are. Let's see. Yeah, no, Ed is here now, so I'm gonna go ahead and I was looking at some of the movies that he's done, and we're gonna get into it and talk short films because I love a 48-hour film challenge, and Ed seems to be master of that. So let's go talk to him and talk about his films. And here we go. Ta-da! All right.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, good. Let me do one thing real quick. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Okay. And oh, that's groovy right there. All right, welcome to the show. 8 questions with, and I was just telling the folks in the chat about you are a short film specialist. I see. That is your strength. I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that because, as anybody who watched this show at all will tell you, that I love short films.
Good, good. I love making them.
Yes. Now, we talked to Kit Wilson from last week. Kit also is a short film specialist as well. He is actually getting ready to do his first feature film. So, but he said it took him 10 movies to get to that point. So, how about you? Is the feature film is something up your sleeve as well, or are you right at home, right where you're at?
Oh no, absolutely. That's the goal to do. I have a couple feature scripts that are various stages of development. I just don't think I'm quite there yet from a fundraising point of view, as well as there's a couple things I want to expertise. I want to get a little bit more expertise on, but I'm kind of having my eyes on 2026, 2027 is when I want to start executing on that. So I have plans for 2025 to build up those things that I'm missing, and 2026, let's go. Let's do it.
Welcome in everybody in the chat. Hey, Van City is in the house. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. We're talking with filmmaker Ed Castaneda from SubliminalEd Films. Where are you based out of, Ed?
Seattle, Washington.
Wow, yeah, it's funny. That's what I thought. Because I want to say that Kit is from that area as well.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty close.
Now, have you guys actually met?
We have. I actually looked him up. He's very prolific, right? So he has a lot of stuff going on social media and stuff, and I see all the accolades he's getting. I looked him up probably a year and a half ago, and asked if I could buy him some coffee, just so I can kind of, pick his brain, learn what he was doing and stuff. And that was awesome. That was incredible too.
I love when I hear that. That's actually one of the questions I like asking a lot whenever I meet somebody, someone from a town, like Seattle or Edmonton. Shout out to Jamie, Edmonton. I like to ask that. So to me, it's one of the basic questions for me is, where do you go when you when you want to collaborate? I mean, do you guys on social media? It has made meeting different peers. It's been making it so easy to do. I mean, people say, well, we don't have a very big community here. And to me, it's like, well, why the hell not? Because it's not like you can't set up something. It's like all you need to do is send out a friend request. You can send out a Instagram or a thread or something like that. Say, hey, I'm a filmmaker as well. Love to get together and have a coffee with you. I mean, and work together. And it's surprisingly so that you don't really see that as much as you think. And so it's pretty exciting to hear that you took the initiative to.
Yeah. Seattle is actually like the film community here is small and like independent, but it's a great local indie community. Like we have some. I'm part of a Seattle horror filmmaker Facebook page, and that group is so active. Like we've gotten together for writing gigs and just hanging out. There's a horror themed bar here in Seattle called Two Finger Social, and like there's a good community of people that are kind of, let's build something cool together, and it's great. I love it.
Now, have you always been in Seattle, or have you always been a Seattleite, or have you
Nope. Actually, close to your neck of the woods. I was born in Toledo, Ohio, and lived there till teens. I moved to Columbus, Ohio and I was there for like 15 years, and I've been in Seattle now for about 15 years.
I just want to let you know, you probably wondering this, I'll let you know now that yes, there are still construction all over Toledo. There'll always be. Toledo is the most worked on city in the country. Every time you go down to Toledo, they have freeways closed and road work going on. I've been here for 25 years, been to Toledo about 30 times, never fails. Have never gotten through Toledo without seeing some sort of construction going on along the freeways.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I used to hang in Detroit because I mean that was our biggest city we went to in Ann Arbor, and I mean it was constant. You're right, it was constant construction on 75.
Let's see, Van City says he's close to you. Okay, well that's awesome. There we go. See, I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to get that Facebook group from you. I like to see. I might be a fly on the wall and see what kind of interaction is going on there.
I'll do it. Join. There's join us. Don't even be a fly on the wall. Just participate with us. It's so much fun. It's great.
It is a lot of fun when you doesn't it give you a lot of energy too, Ed, when you do run across somebody like that. I mean, to me, the hardest thing would be to be in a not so big film area and not have very many people to talk to. I think it would really start weighing down. Like there's a lot of things I like to do, a lot of ideas I have no one to bounce them off with, other than my core group. I have no one to bounce them off on, and it's like I have nowhere to show this movie at. Strength comes in numbers. When someone makes a film and they take it to the local town and they get in their little theater for the weekend or what have you, or the day, and the theater fills up, man, there's some sort of energy there that really, like people, like I got to know a lot of the filmmakers from Iowa this year. I can't tell you, I'm in Michigan now. I can't tell you, but after I talking to so many people from Iowa, man, I felt like, man, I want to move to Iowa and do what they're doing because they're always on the move.
Yeah.
So, but before you got to Seattle and you were in Ohio, were you a filmmaker? When did you get into film yourself? I mean, what did you know that you wanted to be behind the camera instead of in front of the camera?
I've actually been only about 4 years now. It'll be 4 years this January. It was during the pandemic. My daughter was what? She's 12, going to 13. She was what, 8 or 9 at the time, and she started watching her first kind of real movies like Harry Potter and stuff like that, and asking questions like, "How do they do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's watch it." So, she was home from school, I was working remotely from work, so we had some time, and we started watching like behind the scenes stuff of like Harry Potter and things like that, and it rekindled. I had some scripts that I tried to write like over 2 decades ago. I was in a band in Toledo, Ohio, and like I kind of forgot all about it, and it rekindled that, like, oh, I have some ideas, and I need structure. Like I was like, I never finished these scripts, and I need some help. I need some structure. And one of the silver linings for me was the New York Film Academy offered an online program. It was like a 15-week boot camp program that I was like, man, let's try it out. I'm working from home. I have some time. I signed up. I made 3 student films during that time, and I was hooked, man. I was like, oh, this is it. This is where I want to focus my energy. So I still have the day job. I was actually barely made it in time tonight to get home from that. And but yeah, since then it's been gangbusters. This is what I want to do. This is my career switch. This is what I want.
And you've already, how many films have you got underneath your banner? I watched Invited, and I watched Bones. Uh, Bones had a very nice ending. That was I have to admit, when I was watching it, I'm going like, maybe I'm a little jaded. And then I'm going like, but at the end of it, when the ending pops up, I'm going like, that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty damn cool. I liked how that worked, because it looked like it was something you've seen before, and it's like, okay, and not another one. But then all of a sudden he just, and the thing about it is, though, for that short film, and this is the hook that you managed to put into that, you did manage to put the hook in, and I'm sure it was the big one was, how does he do it? How is he getting his supplies?
Yeah,
That's because you're going like, okay, he's got them and we see him, but how the hell is he getting them?
yeah.
I thought it was very well done, very effective.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Now, were you always? Our friend Tom Baker has come in and says support your local sheriff. Yes, we noticed your T-shirt. That's right. Support your local sheriff with James Garner. That's right. Now, were you always a horror fan first and foremost? Was there any one particular, like as far as when you first started your career, was there any inspiration from you to like, I want to be like a Roger Corman or a Wes Craven, or a Carpenter, a Romero, or or any other director? Or did you think about that? Did you think about that, or did you just, I want to do my
Yeah,
own?
yeah. I think well, if I don't know if any of my friends are listening at all, but they know the answer. Of my main source of inspiration is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1973. So not necessarily Tobe Hooper, but that movie, it influences me, and I don't even think about it. I've been on several 48-hour film sets, and things are crazy during those, and I'm always like, all right, at the end Sally's this, and I forget how much I referenced that movie, but that had a very big impact on me. From a director point of view, some non-horror, well, Ari Aster, I love Ari Aster, but I also like Sean Baker, who I think just tells a fantastic story.
Oh boy, I'm gonna hear that. Did you hear that, guys? You see who he liked? All right. Oh, well, it's interesting. We'll talk. We'll get into it, because we'll get into it.
I fear I said something wrong.
I have a feeling you watched a few of my shows. Have you ever seen this show before?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about this, because I can already tell you, and you'll sit there and say, really, and I'll tell you dead honestly, yes. Did I think Bones was a hell of a lot better than Hereditary? Yeah, I did. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because I think Ari Aster makes some mistakes as a director, and I think it's worth discussing about.
Okay.
And I want your honest opinion too. Let's talk about this, because you are a film director. Okay. The only thing different between you and him right now is that he's done 3 features and you have not. But otherwise, as far as making film and going through the rigmaroles of it, and you have done the same thing. You are a peer to me. When I think of a director, I can think of Ed, and I can think of Ari at the same sentence. Now, there's some things that I feel. There's some things that I want to ask you about when you watched Hereditary. First of all, let's talk about this. So, I agree with you on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, that is absolutely. As much people mention Halloween, Texas has always been for me the door opener in horror films. It really has.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as far as the slasher goes, as far as just the pure terror goes, I've always thought of The Exorcist sort of a thinking man horror film.
Yeah.
It's a deeper movie. You have to go investigate what's causing that terror. Whereas whereas Texas Chainsaw Massacre is primeval. It's right there in front of you. It's like in your face, and and to have the balls enough to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I always felt like that. I always felt Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the door opener. Without Texas Chainsaw, there is no anything else. At least not in this, maybe not in the 70s.
Yeah.
What made that movie stand out for you? What was the one element? Because Hereditary is very much like The Exorcist. It's supernatural horror. It's a slow burn, whereas Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like again, it's like it's happening right there, right now. You're seeing everybody getting wiped out. What made you feel? What made you go the direction the way you did as far as your filmmaking goes? Texas or say The Exorcist. What made you go more toward the more physical horror, the more gory horror? What drove you to go that way?
Well, so it's a good question. I will say The Exorcist is also one of my tops as well, and I watched that when I was like 10 years old and like grew up, Catholic, and it's still I think that movie is fantastic. I still really like The Exorcist a lot. So I go both directions, and I get what you're asking. Kind of, they're different. I think from a filmmaker point of view, there are a few scenes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre that freak me out. Like an Exorcist as well, but they're burned in my memory, right?
Yeah.
And like they affect me. And I think from back to even Ari, like I love when a filmmaker can make you feel something and just totally affect you by their medium. That's what draws me. And like one of the ones in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when Sally escapes and busts through the window, and it's bright daylight, and it's just chaos, right? And in the broad daylight and stuff. So like that whole we're out in the open, we're not in the basement anymore, we're not in here, and it's still just what the fuck, what WTF is happening, and like holy crap, like that's terrifying. Like, and that scene is so memorable, her jumping out and him coming through the front door in bright sunlight with him with the chainsaw. So like I think it's just the shots like that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre live in my head, and like they're done so well. So
it's so intense and vibrant, and I noticed that right off the bat, because if you looked at Exorcist is very muted, right? The colors are all very muted. It's not a bright lit movie. It is muted, and it's done on purpose. And and it sort of gives when I rewatched it a little while ago, I was really struck with the fact that it looked like a documentary, but a hell of a lot scarier.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw still works, and The Exorcist still both on fire even today.
Yeah.
Watch either one of them. Whereas Texas Chainsaw is like Bones. I'm watching Bones. The first half of this movie is dark. It's it's a little bit of mysterious, and then at the end, open the door and it's bright sunny, and that's like that's a little bit of Texas and a little bit of Georgetown. It's like it worked out really well, and you did it in 4 minutes. It's like that takes some skill. That takes a lot of skills to put something together like that.
Oh man, I appreciate that. That's so much. That means so much, man. Because like that was the intent. Like the tone intent was, let's start with an extreme close up and real dark, and give the suggestion of, wait, is that really what I'm seeing? And by the time you get to the wide angle bright shot, that should be like a normal. Everything that you've seen on that point, that was awful. Like it's kind of like, oh no, like it's you're not showing anything. It's bright sunlight and it's a wide angle, and even the music is kind of happy, where the music was real disturbing. All that was intentful, trying to get to that the reverse of the light, and because of everything you've seen is a terrifying shot, or at least crazy.
It's actually the last place you expect to see a character like Bones to be at in the public. And it's like that's what made it really effective for me too. Is like he's like he's out and he's in plain sight. It's just that people don't know it, but he is
Yeah.
out there. He's not trying to hide. He's not hiding in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? He's out there wide open. Um,
Yeah.
Hi Betty. Hi Betty Jean. How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Uh, now to me with here's the thing that I had a trouble with Ari. It was and to me I don't know how many short films he did, but this is a good call. This is like a really good, like when you watch Hereditary, you sit there and you appreciate this short film so much because it teaches you so much. Um, and sometimes when you get handed the car keys, like you had a 16-year-old a kid of car keys without any driver's training. Yeah, he's gonna go, but how far will he go before he crashes? Because he doesn't know any better. And with
Yeah.
short films, I think that's what it does. It allows you to see where you need to go and get there in one piece and do it with your team. And the thing I really had a trouble with Aries' film, especially Hereditary, is the fact that he was not driving the car. He didn't seem to be driving the car. He didn't seem to be directing.
Mm. Mm.
I mean,
Interesting.
it just didn't really, and that's what really killed me because he has such a great cast, and he scrambled the eggs. I mean, you go
Mm.
watch, and to me, it's like that's something that you learn how to do in short films. Is you learn all these things. You learn how to direct talent. And you learn how when they get a little bit of when they get a little bit out of there. When they get. I'm sure you've seen this where you've had an actor, doing their very best, but maybe they're over emoting. And like you want to go in, put your hand on your shoulder and say, "Listen, here's how I'm seeing it. Here's how I'm seeing it. I'm not really seeing it like like again. We'll go to your bones because it's such a great movie. Uh, um, like you didn't see him inside the trailer. You didn't hear him like muttering madness and like I'm gonna get everybody. It was all about the quietness. It's like, okay, so this is how you're gonna let him go. You're not gonna let him because it's easy to do in horror is to overact. I mean, of all the genres, you overact the most in horror. Would you agree with that?
I would say I don't know if about most. I think yeah, I agree with that. There's absolutely tons of overacting in horror. I think you can. I mean, I think drama's hard too, though. Like drama, I think there's people. It's hard to play some of those really emotional tones sometimes, which is actually kind of why I like Hereditary, because I think Toni Collette's performance is really just a mother, like until the end gets all nutty and stuff like that. But her performance and the stuff that she's saying, like at the dinner table after the daughter dies and stuff, like I think it's pure emotion coming from her, and like it felt to me. What I got out of that was I thought she should have been up for awards, like just
Uh, yeah,
love her.
that's actually my problem. Was I thought that he was in awe of her, and he had no control.
Interesting, interesting. That's super interesting to hear. Like, yeah,
You hear about that when people were talking, like when Pacino had his time where they always said he was chewing the grass. This every time Al Pacino would get in one of his movies, he'd do a massive rant. There'd be some rant in there, and everybody was poking fun at it. But actuality, if you go back and watch him, he's all contained. He's contained. He's yes, he is loud and he is furious, but he has a handle on it. And when
mm,
I watched it with Toni Collette, because she's a fine actress, is one of my favorites too. But man, oh man, it was like there, and Gabriel Byrne, it was like there was nothing there. There was no direction to me. It didn't seem any direction at all to her performance. It's like, or his performance. He was just there. And Gabriel Byrne's one of the finest actors in our generation. And
absolutely.
I'm going like, well, when's he going to come in and fix this? And because he didn't do anything, he just stood around and waited, and then got killed. And it's just like, but he didn't do anything. And
Yeah,
it's just like, the whole focus it seemed like was, I'm going to get this one gag right, and that's the girl losing her head.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that right. Everybody's going to be talking about that, and then that's going to be it. And then Toni Collette she did a Pacino, but without the restraint, because I don't think that he had the experience to. I think he was. I think he was starstruck.
Interesting.
I,
I
I
don't know.
think that-
I'm worried now. This is actually one of my comfort movies. I was sick with COVID like last year or something, and I ended up watching that a few times because it like I think it's done so well. Like it was a comfort horror movie for me.
No, let me.
I'm worried now when I watch it. Like I think you're right with the game. Like I barely even remember Gabriel Byrne's in it, right?
Yeah.
Because just what you're saying. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Now, have you watched? Do you watch movies now?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, this is a big change. Like me and the people in our chat. Like Tom and Cheryl and Mr. Dan. Um, we watch it as fans. We're fans. We're not directors. Do you watch movies? Because you said you watched Hereditary during COVID. Have you watched it have you watched a movie like Hereditary or Texas Chainsaw or The Exorcist? Have you watched them since you started making films? And do you look how do you look at the movies? Do you look at them through your eyes as a fan's eyes, or are you starting looking to them at a director's point of view? And do you make notes of the movies that you watch?
Notes? No, I probably should because I'm just not that organized. But it varies, right? So like it really does. Like there's not a lot of deliberate intention, right? So most of the time now, I would say I'm absolutely picking it apart. Like, all right, what did they do there? How did they film that? Where was the lighting at? Like, there, I'm looking for different things. Oh, they crossed the line. Things along those lines. But stuff like Texas Chainsaw and Hereditary, and a lot of them as well. I love still getting lost in it, and I'm yeah. I'm part of. I want a film to take me along for the ride, right? And I want to be part of that. I want to feel something, and substance. The substance totally took me for a ride, and like it was relentless in like the over the topness, right? It never stopped being over the top, and I was all for it. It was like, yeah, let's do this. So
I would be very interested to see your reaction to both Texas and or Hereditary. I would love to hear your feedback as a director watching them more than as a fan.
yeah.
I really love to see your response to that. I mean, I'm sure you'll probably see things in there I don't sit there and say, well, maybe he didn't miss everything you thought he did. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just looked at it and I just felt like that's a case of a director not having the key, not having the steering wheel all the way.
Yeah.
Like how do you go out there and tell, like directing Marlon Brando, or De Niro, or Downey Jr. It's like you have to have a real strong hand to guide a talent like that, because it's so easy for it to get away because they get intimidated. I mean, it's his first movie. How the hell it's his first movie, and he's got two awesome actors. There's got to be some like I said before, it's got to be some stars in there.
Yeah.
It's just natural.
He's I know he did do some shorts, so if you get a chance, look for Bo. So Bo is Not Afraid. I did not like that. I thought that was just what you're talking about, giving a kid, giving a 12-year-old the keys. Like that was exploitism, all self-indulgent. That's what that felt like. But there's a short called Bo that he did in 2011. And I don't know the extent of Ari's shorts, but it's the same story as the 6-hour movie, whatever the hell that is, in like 11 minutes. And it's the same story, and it's done so well. Like, I love his short of Bo. And I think that, like, I wish they would have kept a tone like that and stuff. But Bo's Not Afraid was crazy.
So let's talk about your first movie that you did. So walk us through that. Now you decide that, hey, I'm gonna make a film. I'm gonna do this. So what steps were you taking? I mean, was this this is in Seattle that you've done this? So how did you get going? How did you get the jump start as into making your first film?
Yeah. So like I said, I finished those 3 student films, and then this is summer of 2021. I was taking an acting class. So I finished the New York Film Academy, and someone I wanted to take an acting class because I thought like I need to learn more about actor speak. I need to learn more about that craft, because if I'm going to direct actors, I want to learn as much as possible. The other kind of naive thing I thought at the time was, well, maybe I'll get some set experience because I'd never been on a set before. I'll get a few gigs as an actor, and so that was the naive part. So I ended up taking it on again. This was COVID time. John Jacobson, he's a local guy in here in Seattle. He's done a lot, and he has a online class. I was taking that once a week, a couple hours, maybe 3 hours every week. And I saw a post on Facebook about this 48-hour film project, and I'm like, "Hey, do you know anything about that?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's a great way to get your, jump in, get your feet dirty." And at the time, there was several other people in the Zoom class, and we were kind of like, "Do you want to do it?" And they were like, "Yeah." So we dove in. Mark Fox is a guy who's been invited. He's been in a lot of my stuff. He was the first one. It was called No More Dragons, and we did a 48-hour film project in summer of 2021, and had no idea what I was doing. From being behind the camera, a little bit. Had some experience with that bootleg program or boot camp program at New York Film Academy, but.
I love that. Bootleg too, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that was it. We created a film in 48 hours, and I was hooked again. Like, oh man, I'm gonna do this again. And I've done 748 since then, or 748 total.
I love that format. I think the first time I ever heard about it was actually from Ohio. Conrad Farja. And my friend Dominic Castilli, and they showed me what 48-hour films look like, and it's like what they walk me through it. Like, this is what we do. You get an idea, you get a script, and then you go, and it's just like, it's absolutely insane. And it's like, and then you go back to, because you see the short films come out, and you go like, wow, that must have took a little bit, some time and some effort. No, it only took us like 2 days. It's just like, including the scoring, which to me is like, that's probably the really hard part, editing and scoring. It's like, that's the big hook. It's like, you gotta find things to score, and put some music to it, and edit it down to like within 15 minutes or so, 15 minutes, which is not easy to do either.
Yeah. Our composer Wallace Simpson, he's done every single thing I've done. So I've done like 10 at this point. I don't know, something like that. He's scored all of them, and even including the first one we did for that Seattle 48. It's kind of funny. He grew up he lived in the Ohio area, Toledo area as well. So we had a lot in common. We met on Facebook, and we've done a bunch of stuff. But like, I think he gets we have it actually pretty good schedule. Like, we try to have a picture lock by between 6 and 8 a.m. on Sunday, so at least he has several hours to come up with the score. And it's not a lot of time, but we've made it every single time. So
I'm hearing one thing in our discussion that it's really cool, and I wish I would hear it more often in these kind of discussions. I guess sometimes I get some I do. For the filmmakers in Iowa and Ohio. But there's one thing I think a sense that you use a lot in your filmmaking process, and you use social media a lot. How important is social media now to filmmakers, indie filmmakers? I mean, on the scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being the highest, how important is social media in the filmmaking process?
If 1's the highest, 1. Like, it's absolutely important. Like, it is absolutely important. Like, all of I felt like I built a community with the 48, but a lot of that has to do with how we connect on social media. I was at the Nightmares Film Fest in Columbus, Ohio, for Bones this past summer, and they had a panel talking about distribution, and they were talking about go out and find the influencers. They're like, don't rely on normal distribution channels. And that is actually how you and I connected, is like, I'm going to start joining threads and stuff like that. And you had kind of made a post out there and stuff like that. And I'm trying to find more people. I love what you're doing. Like, you're giving us local filmmakers, or, all people from different levels, a platform. And I love what you're doing. And like, that's part of it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to reach out to Patrick and hopefully make this happen and stuff. But it's super important.
Thank you so much for your kind words. I mean, I put it out there and I was blown away, because I've actually tried to do the same thing over on some of the IMDb groups on Facebook, and only thing I ever got was crickets, which really astounded me, because I was like, wow, nobody wants to talk about themselves. And I'm thinking to myself, this is no one wants to talk about the movie that they're making. It was amazing. And and the first time I tried it, and it's the only time so far I've tried it on Threads, and it was a tsunami. I can't tell you how many people were like, me, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing for now on, because sometimes you sit there and you're trying to fill the schedule out, and it just blows me away to go there and say, how would you like to come and talk about your movie or talk about your career? And they just don't do it. And then they wonder why nobody knows who they are. And it's like, because you don't give us a chance to know who you are or talk about your film. If I don't get to talk about you, what are the chances are of me talking about your movie? Probably next to none, because I don't know who you are. Now we get to here. Now we're going to talk about Bones. Now we're going to talk about Invited. We're going to talk about the website. We're going to do all sorts of amazing things here. We're talking about Ari Aster. I mean, whoever thought we'd be doing that? See now, and now not only that, but now that by us doing that, see, now we locked into another visit from you, because after you look at Hereditary through a director's eyes, I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm there, man. Let's do it. Yeah. I agree. So, but like, I guess it falls under the general umbrella of like just networking and kind of self-promotion. Like, there's a difference between self-promotion and being conceited and kind of like narcissistic. But like, you have to be your own advocate and go out there. And it's social media is one aspect, but like film festivals and stuff. Like, we've been traveling to some that we got in. Like, we're thankful that we get into a lot of these festivals. But go meet people, talk, and like, I'm starting to expand that community out more and more. And there's some really cool creative people out there I've met, both social and live events. So
yeah, there are some darker aspects of getting into doing film, especially indie film too. And a lot you mentioned about there's a lot of people out there that beat their chests and say, look at me, look at me, and look at me. And when you do, they don't have anything for you to look at. Like I've known filmmakers out there that have been talking about doing the same film for years. I know one out there that literally does this, and I feel so bad. There's one filmmaker that literally will take her trailer, and she'll enter in all these festivals. And it's like, it's a great trailer, but where's the movie? I mean, you've been talking about the movie for 6 years. Where is it? Let's see. Cool Guy Jay says, big fan here. I accidentally swallowed a watch battery today. You know what? I watched a movie today that featured a character swallowing a watch. A watch. So glad you're here, Cool Guy. Hopefully drink some castor oil, and hopefully for it'll slide right on out there. It'll grease his way out. You know what? I can you see the wheels burning in Ed's eyes right now? I'm starting to see it like there's a damn movie there.
There's a story there, man. There's a story there.
Right there. Yes. What was the most craziest inspired thing to happen to you in order to make a film? What was the craziest thing that you were inspired by? Like this. I'm going to make a movie about that. What's the craziest movie that you've created that you took to film?
So to date, It's probably well, it's a good question. I'd say to date, it's probably the craziest idea is Bones, right? So this stemmed from, we were in the 2022 horror film project, 48-hour film project, and Danny Brown, who's a practical effects artist, was on my team. He's incredible. Like, I think he's Danny Brown Photography on Instagram. But he first time I met him, we were working together, and we wanted to do an autopsy scene in 48 hours. So as soon as we got our prompts at 7 p.m. Friday night, he was like, hey, let's get the actor over here so I can mold a body. And he put him in mold. We did a cast so we can do an autopsy scene. That was Among the Sun. And everything was going to crap. So like Saturday, everything, I mean, there's a 48-hour thing. Everything's going nuts and like things aren't working. And he's at my house and like, I'm tired and I don't know how we're going to finish this. And he leans over to me and says, we should have just had some guy digging in some guts, laughing and enjoying it. And like, that is what inspired Bones. Like that is like, it was literally like a 5-second spiel that he said. And I was like, oh my God. And that's where the idea came of like, well, it could be like him going outside after he's digging and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that started. And it took me a year and a half to kind of take his idea, write the script for it, and execute on it and stuff. But yeah, that's that small spark, literally less than a 5-minute conversation on Saturday night of that 48-hour film project is what sparked to that.
Now I know you love doing the 48-hour film, 48 hours, and it is a lot of fun. Have you done some regular short films on the the regular schedule? Like it might take. What's the biggest difference between the two, between the 48 hours and the normal filming of a short, other than the time frame?
I mean, just really more of, I mean, like you have more time to craft every aspect of it, right? So I helped produce one called Fire and Oak that we're going to take on the circuit this coming year, and the amount of prep that we did in terms of Susanna Stengo is the writer of it, and she had been workshopping that script for several years. Once we got involved working with our director George Laws, like we started honing on the script. What are the points and stuff like that? And we had just series of repeated meetings till we felt that we were finally ready with development. And then we went into pre-production, and there were several months of that. And so like we were able to take the time to craft each part of that and how we were going to execute. And still things didn't go exactly as planned, but we had enough thought and momentum that we were able to kind of execute on that. And Bones wasn't a 48 either, so that one was one of my first non-48 ones that we did. But
what's it like for you to collaborate with a screenwriter? Do you like them being on set with you? I mean, they're going to come out and watch how the movie's made. Are you comfortable as a director? Are you comfortable with the screenwriter on your set, or do you feel like they're looking over your shoulder all the time?
I think I absolutely love it. And I think I love it because of the screenwriters I've worked with are so collaborative. So Dan Hickey is one I worked with a few times. He's actually the one that runs the Seattle Horror Maker Film Group, and he's helped me write a few of the 48s and stuff. And he's just so collaborative that it's a good experience, and all he wants is a good product at the end of it. So it's been nothing but positive experience. And same with Susanna. When Susanna and I started working together, we kind of set up, all right, what are our roles? And we agreed we're going to have a kind of, we're going to both co-produce it, because it's her story, and it's a women-centric story that I obviously don't have that perspective. So I need that viewpoint, energy, everything coming from that in order to make that as authentic as possible. So I've heard that go different ways and stuff, but I think I feel lucky that every experience I've had with it has been just fantastic collaborative experience.
What are some of the I mean, as far as the short films go, uh, how hard is it? Because you also screenwrite as well, right? You said you're relatively new to it, but you do like to write your own scripts. Um, does that, like, I also agree, I also will say this. You mentioned before how you took you took an acting class, so you that could help you see through actor's eyes. I actually agree with that. I actually agree. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually. I think when I hear directors say that, I've heard them say that. Yeah, I've taken a class not because I want to become an actor, but because I want to see how they see the story too. So if there's something that we can see together, it'll be easier for us to do that. Other than you're just not seeing the vision I'm seeing. You don't. And that's probably the worst thing you ever want to hear on a movie set. We're not, that creative differences, we're not seeing it the same way. But I think by going back there and taking an acting class and having, maybe, and so you can at least get an idea of what they're looking at or what they feel. I think that's smart. And
Yeah.
I mean, would that be what would be your first? Give me three pieces of advice that you would give right now based on your experience. Uh, what are three or four things that you would tell a brand new filmmaker who's just starting out?
I think the first one is really about trust. It's about relationships. Okay, the people you're collaborating with, trusting that they that they trust you, that you as a director have a vision and you have you know what you're going for. There's a book I read. I'm not gonna remember the name of it, but like it resonated with what is the end cognitive feel that you want to go with. So like having that in mind. So like no matter what story beat you have, what do you want the audience to feel? And center around that and work backwards from that feel. How am I going to achieve that feeling for that audience member to get that? Whether it's horror, whether it's glee or anything like that, that's where you want to get to, work your way backward from that. So I think that's one. And how to get there is trusting the people that you're bringing on board. Like they have to trust that you have that vision, and you have to trust them to do their thing and stuff like that. So back to the acting, where I feel I am in my journey on being a directing actors is that I feel like there is this. I need to be their first observer. Like they can't watch themselves, right? As an actor, we want them to be in the moment as much as possible, and it's my responsibility to look for, is it authentic? Does it feel real and stuff like that, and be that first watcher on there. So there's a lot, again, that's the end product we want to get there. So how do you get to that point of establishing that relationship and being in that moment of the director as observing, looking for those authenticity moments or not those, being able to call them out and having the gumption to say, oh, that's not feeling well. And then again, there's different ways you want to talk to actors in terms of or even anyone on the set of expressing this doesn't feel real, right? I don't know. I think that was three. I'm not sure.
Have you yourself have you ever had that conversation with a actor where you don't see things eye to eye? What was the first time that you actually had to do that with somebody and be just a little bit forceful about it? Like, yeah, this isn't the way I'm seeing this. But well, no, there's no buts. There's just, it's just, I'm just letting you know, there's just not a way for me. I know every director wants to be, open minded, but sometimes there's just that moment where it's like, there's nothing to be open minded about. The story's taking us this way, and it's the only taking us this way. And sometimes somebody will sit there and insist otherwise. So how do you handle a difficult situation like that with talent when especially in a 48-hour challenge? How do you handle that sort of situation? I mean, to make it so either it works or it doesn't work, or because sometimes it doesn't, right? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you've had to replace cast and crew before, and so talk to us about how you yourself go about doing that, and It's it's probably the most unpleasant thing to do, but it's something I don't think we really we really don't get to hear about like what the process is like to tell somebody like this isn't working out, or can you at least be flexible enough to stay in it with me? What's give us a couple of stories of your experiences with that.
Yeah, so I guess my general philosophy is I don't feel that there's a lot of benefit from being harsh, right? Like if you're and I've heard stories and stuff like that, and it's maybe this is just not my style. I don't know, but like I think that like if I'll give you a good example. On a 48, there was one time when it was coming across flat. One of our actors was delivering the lines and it wasn't there, and like it just wasn't working. So what I did was talk about a situation that wasn't relevant to that to the script or anything along those lines, but just, hey, have you ever experienced this, and what was how did that make you feel? And just get them talking. Again, it's about earning trust and stuff like that. And I know that they probably had experience going through this life experience and stuff like that. And then it was like, all right, take that action and say the words there. It was kind of like that. That's use that kind of where you were feeling your intention. You are here. Use that and say the lines there, right? So it could have been like a line as simple as I can't even remember what it was, but what I'm looking for is there's some emotional beat there, and it actually worked. It worked out well. I wouldn't say that it's always successful, but I was pretty like, even watching the watching it back now, I'm like, there's some real authenticity going on in that moment where prior there wasn't in what we were doing there, and it was pleasant. And I actually got some really good feedback from the actor. Kind of saying that they felt that was what they needed to get into that moment as well. So it wasn't harsh. It wasn't anything like that. I will say there's some times that I've experienced where it just didn't work. I'm like, I don't know what to do as a director. I can say that, and I've even said that as well. I'm like, it's not working. It's not feeling right. And I try to give, like, there's some tips I've learned through books and acting classes where I'm trying different things and it still doesn't work out, right? And at some point you just gotta, all right, let's call it. We're gonna go. Let one more take, and we'll move on to the next one. And I've done that a few times as well.
What's the average take for you before you like I know it's like everybody talks about Kubrick. Tom says that recognizing talent, the actors you crew. Yes. Oh God, Hitchcock said actors are like cattle, so I treat them like cattle.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, he did not always have a sterling reputation on set.
Yeah.
Unless you're a shapely blonde.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I think that's I'm actually really surprised he said that.
He did say that. Like, I remember it was the way I don't know much about, like, I've heard the stories of him, like, basically using them as pawns. Like, he had it so much in his head exactly how he wanted it that he didn't give a shit about what their role in it was. Do this, stand here, move this way, say this line this way. And, like, I mean, who am I to say? He freaking Alfred Hitchcock and stuff. But, like, in my experience, that's not.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, think about the thing. See, I think sometimes success can really cause a lot of, if you think about it, think about some of the bigger stories in Hollywood, right? The bigger success that you get, the more success you attain. I mean, it really is like this. It's really shocking. Is like when the more success you gain, the more problems you have. It really is like that. You think about, you think that it would get easier for somebody rather than harder, but it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like the more successful you have, the more you have to battle it to keep the genie in the bottle, so to speak. I like Hitchcock, but man, if I would have heard him say something like that in my earshot, I comment about. I think you always treat everybody with utmost respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the big, I guess, the elephant in the room, as far as filmmaking goes, and get some thoughts about that from you. Is we already touched bases on one aspect of it, and that's self promotion. I mean, and the other aspect of it is, you mentioned about distributing, and I mentioned in the beginning about financing. So, are you're gearing up? I'm taking it you're gearing up for your first feature film in 2025, right?
Probably 2026.
2026. So, what steps are you taking now to prepare yourself, because it's going to get here in a hurry? What steps are you taking forward now, and more than just the story or storyboards or stuff like that? What steps are you taking toward now to about financing your film? I mean, do you have a budget set? Did you talk with your crew? You talk about how you're gonna raise it. Um, there's not that big of a market in Seattle, what you said, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult. How many times can you go to your friends? Do you go to that well? um, so talk to us a little bit of what financing your film is going to be about. How are you
Yeah.
going to make?
Yeah. So I think that uh, and this could again be just naivety talking, because I haven't done it yet. But like my from what I've learned shooting a feature, I'm probably going to need about $250,000 at the very least if I want to pay people for a decent, and it's not even decent, right? It's not even that, probably even a living wage. But if I want to pay people, we're looking at $250,000, and probably at least. So that's kind of in my head what I want to feel confident that I can raise come 2026. How do I do that? I think how I do that is that I need to prove that we can do something that is successful, that has a market, that people are going to like in a short film format, just to kind of prove as my calling card. So I have the script called Buds, and I want to shoot this in 2025. I'm calling it my signature short. And that budget is probably right around 50-60K. And I want to actually target a A-list, B-list celebrity for that, just so I can get a name again to help with funding for that. So that way, if I can do that and I can get into some top festivals with Buds, I have a body of work that I can go out and start looking for private invested and stuff and everything like that. There's a bunch of I am, again, maybe naive, but like there's a bunch of people out there with way more money than I have that spend it on stupider things than art and film. And I want to be able to show them that, hey, you can be a part of this and we can do something really freaking cool. Believe in me, believe in the team, believe in the story, and we'll go there. So that's the thought. There's a lot of hand wavy steps to get there, but I want to concentrate on Buds first, get that kind of signature short down and stuff. And I think the way to get that funding is getting a decent celebrity play a bit part there.
Well, who would you like to cast? I mean, if you
Katie Holmes. Katie Holmes. So it's actually a really personal story about I wouldn't call it autobiographical, but there's a lot of stuff that based on real life events about me growing up in Toledo, Ohio. So I want to shoot it in Toledo, Ohio. And she's from Toledo, Ohio. And I have no idea, Katie, if you're listening to this. Let's chat. But,
I would love. I'd love for that to happen.
No, I don't know. Like, so that's that's a lofty goal, but I'm gonna go for it, man. That's I think that it's a really, I love the story. It's a really powerful story, and the role of the mother of it's a coming of age story of a 12-year-old boy, and through friendship. And the mother role is a small part of it there that I think that like having someone like her or someone of that caliber play this kind of small but really in-depth character, to me it sounds an intriguing role. Like pulling that off as a really believable character would be a challenge, fun, and again, it's an impactful story. So
it's sort of weird seeing Katie now doing those type of mom roles, because she's of that age where like she's aged out of the sex kitten roles. Now she's aged into the mom role,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting, I can, honestly, I can see her trying something like that. I don't see why not. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
she's done some work. She's actually done some really quirky things the last few years. So
She has.
I actually think you have a hell of a shot for it.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
And it's not one of those things where I think that it's like immediately when you immediately hear it, you go like, okay, that'll happen. Where you actually sit there and say, yeah, that could happen because because yeah, I think you have a legitimate chance.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, we gotta, do you have your script all set? I mean, if you were to have to film, say in 3 months from now, will you be ready for it?
100%, absolutely, yeah. So one of the things, back to the you're asking the difference between 48. I've been workshopping this script for a year and a half now, maybe longer. I've entered it into some writing competitions, not to win, but to get some feedback. So Blue Cat is one of the screenplay ones that will give you critique on it and stuff. And I've entered a couple other ones, actually some before Twitter went to hell. I was part of the screenwriter Twitter and stuff like that. And there's a guy in UK that has written, I'm not gonna remember his name or anything, but I got 3 people outside of my circle that do scripts or script reviews to get feedback from them. And the cool thing about it is all 3 of them knew what the story was. Back to that cognitive feel, they all expressed in the notes back like, hey, this is what the story is. And I was like, that's it. I'm getting some people, they know what it is. Minor feedback and stuff like that had to work out, but I feel the script it's shootable, it's ready, it's doable. The hardest thing is getting the stunt. Like there's a metaphor of life in this street football game from these kids and stuff like that. And there's some stunts we're gonna have to do as part of that. That's gonna be the hardest part, but ready to go.
So let's talk a little about right now in today's world. You have a chance to shadow. I'm going to ask you this. It's sort of an easy question. And sure, it's one you probably heard before, but give us your other than Katie Holmes. We know she's one of them, but give us 3 directors, 3 actors, and 3 actresses that you would love to shadow, and see how their process works. Which 3 of each would you love to do to work? Either shadow, cast in your film, work with. Give me 3 directors, 3 actors, and 3 actresses, and the reasons why you would like to work with them.
Oof, that's not an easy question, man. Let's see here.
I'm sort of embarrassed I asked that, but it is an interesting question to ask though, because I don't know. I just, for some reason, I think it fits. I think it fits for this.
Yeah.
So
Sean Baker would be my number 1 director. So he did Honora is out. I'm hoping that's up for some Academy Awards and stuff. But I saw a Florida project several years ago. Again, back to the feel of it. The ending of it was so powerful, and I think Sean Baker has a way that I haven't seen. He's at a level above in his storytelling. So I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. He had the one out called Tangerine that was shot on the iPhone, and the storytelling is just so good. He's so incredible at that. Alex Garland, Ex Machina is probably one of my favorite movies, and I think that he also has a really interesting way of telling the story. Who else? Paul Thomas Anderson, just because There Will Be Blood is again one, I think, just a masterclass in a simple good versus evil story that's just so layered in depth, and it's so good. That's so good. Actors, Gary Oldman, because he can be anyone, anywhere, all the time. Like he looks different. He can play so many different characters from evil to good and all kinds of things. Who else?
It does seem interesting that ever since I'm gonna come to Tom's comments here about Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, I know he was a funny guy, but there's some things that he did say. Like I read a few books about him and some of the books about some of his movies. He was funny, but sometimes he was funny at other people's expense, and he was a bit of a taskmaster himself. I mean, we talk about Kubrick, and Alfred was not adverse to doing multiple takes multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, it's like it's one thing I've learned from doing this show is, man, it's like multiple takes are not going to get you your shot. They're just not. I think you have 5 or 6. I think you have 5 or 6 at the very most. Then after that, then you got to move on. You got to come back to it. If you have to come back to it, you come back to it. But about 5 or 6 times is about as best you can. After that, the performances just naturally go down because it's so fucking hard to maintain that mindset.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast talking about Kubrick's and they were hypothesizing that because the actors were so beat down that they let their guard down, and they were just so authentic because they were so beat down by the time the 50th take and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound fun. I do like Kubrick, like I mean, 2001 Shining, his style. He obviously has a style that I absolutely love, but even if I could, I don't think he'd be one of my choices.
Let's see. Let's see. I mentioned I'm getting the A24 vibe out of this conversation because I take it A20. I'm taking it A24 is your favorite, one of your favorite studios.
They've done quite a bit. Yeah. I think there's it's not intentional on my part. It's just that they seem to put out some stuff that I really gravitate towards. Even that Everything Everywhere All at Once, I loved that, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's an A24 film!" So.
I'm always saying this because people are going to hear this thing and they're going to just sit there and just look at me and just laugh because yeah, I'm just hey, it happens, right?
Yeah,
I still got to sit there and say that I still got 47 of their movies, so I can't be all that much of a distractor. Yeah, I know how that. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. It's like I didn't mean for that to happen, but I take it that's the kind of movies you like to that's the kind of movies you want to make in the vein of what they put out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If anyone's listening from A24, please let's talk. Of course, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be. I have yet to talk to anybody that has actually done an A24 film. So I would like to see what the mindset of that was. That would be very interesting to talk to somebody who has actually filmed one and see how that process went. I'll get there. Hey, if you can get Katie Holmes, I can get somebody for the
yeah. I think we have goals. We're making goals here, Patrick. Let's do it, man.
Hey, Lady Valerie, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're home. Glad home safely. Yes, we're talking to film director and filmmaker Ed Castaneda from SubliminalEd Films. Okay, so we got your director as Sean Baker as your first director. What are the 2 directors behind them would you like to shadow?
I think who did I mention?
Alex Garland. You said Alex Garland.
Alex Garland and Paul Thomas. Paul Thomas. I can't remember. I can't say his name right. Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson.
Okay. You probably had a little trouble with that because you probably just erased Aries' name and then put.
I didn't want to use. I mean, after this, yeah, I couldn't put Aries up there.
He's gonna, yeah, I'm not going to put that on there. Okay, so what 3 actors would you like to cast in your film if you could make your dream film? What are three actors that you would like to work with and they will actually challenge you as a director? and as a screenwriter?
Man, oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna just go off the what's top of my head. So there's a one of my features I want to do is based on my father and kind of he grew up in Mexico and there's a whole story on there and what he did and sacrifices he made. So like what's coming off the top of my head is I think Antonio Banderas in an older Antonio Banderas, even older than he is now, would be great. Like just to see where he's done so much and stuff along those lines. I'm gonna
Charlie
forget the
Banderas is definitely one of my favorite actors. Definitely.
yeah.
The one movie I talk about, I know I poke a little fun at The Voice because he did Puss in Boots and all that. But in all seriousness, when I think of Antonio Banderas, the one movie that I'll talk about all day long because I think it was freaking amazing, The 13th Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's exciting. That's an exciting movie, and man, it's emotional. I mean, I've seen grown men like myself. We actually shed a couple of tears at the end of that movie because it's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's a guy's movie. Yeah, it's right. Uh,
Yeah.
um, fantastic actor,
Yeah.
fantastic. And Tom says he is a nice guy. So I have a feeling Tom has actually met Antonio face to face.
Oh, nice.
He seems like he would actually be a really nice guy to talk to.
Yeah.
And yeah, he
Yeah.
does. He doesn't seem like he would be like not approachable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some all right, so one more actor, and then we'll go on to the girls because I know that you got three talented female actresses that you would love to work with.
One more. So I said Gary Oldman. Yes. As
Okay,
my actor.
Gary Oldman. Yep, Gary Oldman.
Um, I think Javier Bardem. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But he's another one similar to Gary Oldman. Like he plays like you can't think of No Country Old Men without like him. But then you think of him in some of the romantic comedies he's done, or even like Mother, which is out there by
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. Like, but like I love him. Like he is fantastic. Who was the director of Mother? I can't remember that guy's name.
Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. That's another one that would be fascinating to talk to too.
It was a great movie. People were like us when I watched it. Watched it and were like, why are people having a hard time with this? I couldn't understand that because his story was clear and precise. It's just that people weren't they had never seen anything like it. They haven't seen anything like it, and it's like it's a true art house film. And to me, you can tell the people that came out going like, I get it. They watch a lot of art house. They watch a lot of art house movies versus the
Yeah.
most people who go to the cat.
Oh no, my daughter.
Okay. I know. I heard that noise. I'm like, cat. So yeah, I mean, you got somebody like yeah, that's let's see. Okay, Sam. I would love you to work. I love you to work with Sam Neill. Yeah, Sam Neill.
Oh
Him and Guy Pearce and Hugo Weaving. As they get older, they get better.
yeah.
Does that seem to be a case with you? Do you feel in today's today's theatrical world? I mean, do you feel like before it always seemed like the older actors would hit that ceiling and that's where they stop? But to me, it does seem like a lot more older roles, a lot more older actors are coming up through the ceiling. Do you sense that too? I mean, when you audition people and look for people to fill roles, do you look for people who are a little bit more seasoned? Is that something you look for, or do you try to play down? Or do actors like to play younger? For a wider audience. I personally feel an older audience. As long as the acting's there. I mean, the acting because there's so many great actresses now, actors that are just, they're 70s. Some are in the 80s, and it seems like they're hitting their peak. It seems
Yeah.
like wow, you think they would hit it in their 30s and 40s, but they're crushing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
um,
I do. And like, I think that there's so many interesting stories of, Sean Baker said, I'm going to butcher this quote. Sean Baker said, like, there should be some really inspiring, good movies for adult people. And like, I agree with that so much. And even in the stories as well. Like, I have one short called Carpe Requiem, and it's about a 40 to 50-year-old woman who was a composer, and the heart of the question is, do you need trauma to create good art? And I think that's such an interesting question. But I want to hear it. I want to see it through the lens of someone who's lived life, and I want to see it from someone from a different walk. I don't want to see it from, nothing against younger crowd or anything like that, but I think there's so much more life experience that let's take advantage of these people that actually have lived through life, and let's tell those stories, right? Not everything, it can depend on the role, but that's one that comes top of my head that um I want to find someone of that caliber and that has that life experience to kind of express that.
and Tom mentions are having actors that haven't made a film ages. That's always interesting. Of course, now we see which I found this rather amusing, and that is all of a sudden the love affair with Demi Moore. Everybody's fawning all over her from The Substance, and they're like people are all you hear all these actors to commenting how wonderful she was. She's a terrific. She's this, she's that, or whatever. And it's like, well, she's been away for a while, but it's not like she lost her skill set. She always had those skills with her. It said that no one used her. No one
Mhm.
reached out to her and offered her the roles. They all of a sudden they just thought that she was all done. And it's like I think she did a couple of straight to video movies where she still shows she still has it, but again, it's like nobody's giving her the shot. Was that because of her earlier reputation or her age or whatever? But I mean, I've always felt like Demi Moore has always been a strong actress, and I just felt like she was one of those ones where people just see and they just forgot about her. And now she has a hit movie on her hands. Now everybody's like it's almost like, well, I've been her friend all. They're competing with each other to say how much they loved working with her and how much of a friend she is with them. And yet, really, it's like, then how come especially the media? It's like how come we can't keep because sometimes the media. Do you feel like this? Ed, do you feel like a media helps a filmmaker and helps productions keep actors alive and vital, which really benefits you when you turn around and cast them? Like for someone like Katie Holmes, who hasn't really done a high profile project in a while, let's say she does come over and she does do come over and do does a little bit of a job for you, right? Does the role for you. Do you feel that the media especially the entertainment media, do you think they do you a service or disservice when they ignore the actors and ignore the other directors? Maybe somebody maybe there's a director that hasn't done a movie in 10 years, and all of a sudden they come out. I mean, if they're not being in front of the camera, I guess I'm saying if they're not in the forefront, then they're forgotten. It seems like we forget people really, really fast in this business. Um, I guess my question would be is like, how do we keep so many people like that relevant? I mean, just in your opinion, I know it's not really a directing question per se, but as far as you going forward making a feature film, you want to have your cast and crew. You want to have some recognition there, right? You want to have a little bit of name recognition. I mean, do you feel
Yeah,
talk to us
I
a little bit about the entertainment and the media?
I I know. I will say that just my one disclaimer is this is all just my perspective that's outside of it, right? I'm not in that media world yet.
Yeah,
But I think that, I mean, the substance kind of said it, right? Like there's the core story of the substance is you reach a certain age, and this is all like over the top satire, but like the truth of it is that especially for women, you reach a certain age, this industry's was looking for the next thing. They want the next thing coming there, and I think that's the unfortunate truth, whether you like it or not. That's how this industry has operated and still operates, right? And is going to continue unless something drastic changes. To your question on does that benefit? I think like from a I think actually Katie Holmes is active in Broadway and stuff like that now, like there. But I think there are a lot of people who aren't working a lot that are looking for gigs and stuff like that. So there is some give and take in terms of like they're looking for gigs and other people are looking for named folks to help their careers get launched or help their films get funded and stuff like that. So I think there's a kind of a mutual gain when something like that happens. So I don't know if does that answer your question or
no, that answers it. Yeah. I'm glad. I just see Tom's mentioning sometimes the nicest actors have bad reputations, and the entitled ones have a good guy image. Yeah, it's sometimes that happens. Sometimes they know how to play the game. They know how to play the media game. I just feel like media has never been more important right now as far as film than it has been right now. I felt like I've been feeling that for the last 2 or 3 years. It's like media is almost as important as the movie itself.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, look at all the award season comes on. It's about paying off the media in order to get your movie nominated and to win. It's no longer merit like it used to be. It used to be you win on merit. Now the titles or the award shows are all about the media and how they portray you and your film. I mean, a couple of bad reviews could sink your whole movie. Like I want to go ahead and get my movie in a position to an Oscar, and all it takes is just 1 or 2 words, from a prominent, a writer, and you could lose all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on for 2025? Now we said your first feature is you're going to be doing 2026. So my last question to you will be, what's going on for 2025 at SubliminalEd Films?
So I have Fire and Oak that's going to hit the fest circuit, and we're aiming for like not necessarily Sundance, but maybe a tier like Seattle International Film Fest. I'm going to hit a couple other ones. That's our goal. Hopefully we'll hit that. So that's already done, but we'll be hitting the fest circuit there. I have a horror short called Drip. It is a psychological thriller about a kind of a cat and mouse chase of this whole, you hear something and you don't hear it, but with the, and this is from personal experience I had too, but like playing into that psychological horror of, is it in the head? Is it not? And let's go hard and extreme on that. I want the audience, back to cognitive feel, I want the audience to leave that with a heightened level of anxiety. It's that like slow burn intensity and just like, this was what I'm after there. So that is early in 2025. And then late 2025 is my signature short, Buds, is the goal to film that. And if I can get Katie Holmes or someone of a certain stature to get that going, that's it. Those are three that I'll be helping friends out with produce. I do some producing as well, instead of just writing, directing, do some of those. So.
All right, we have hit our mark. Have to catch you a couple of minutes over. I do apologize for that. But thank you for coming in. I really, really appreciate chatting with you. I had a lot of fun. A lot of my friends are going to get tickled by this show, and they'll probably let me know about it in the comment section. I'm looking at you, Casey. They'll let me know about it in the comment section. I think they'll be very, very entertained. But just remember, I still got 47 of them. So yeah. I guess I could ask you, what's your favorite A24 film? I guess Hereditary would be your favorite, right?
Let's say
Ex Machina.
Is Ex Machina A24?
Yeah.
Yes, it's Ex Machina.
Yeah, that ending is a mind blower.
I love
Yeah,
that.
that's some bleakness right there.
Yeah,
Holy cow. And you just feel sorry for that guy. It's like, man, he didn't deserve that.
yeah,
But yeah, he's just sitting there hoping, I guess, hope that somebody's gonna find him, knowing that they aren't. Uh,
yeah.
yeah. All right. I guess I'll do one more. I'll do one more question here since it is December. What has been your favorite film that you saw this year?
Favorite film I saw, Honora. Yeah,
Laura?
absolutely. Honora
Okay.
by Sean Baker. Yeah,
Okay.
that was good. That was really good.
I heard that's like a comedy drama, and I hear it was pretty interesting. I heard it seems like the type of movie that does Oscar does very well with. So
Yeah. Again, the storytelling there, like the lead actress in there, she's fantastic, and like her arc happens in a very unique way, and there's a the way they bring in a minor character into lead. It's just a different way of telling story, and it's done so well. So it's good.
all right. Let's see. Thank you guys all in the chat for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. Tonight, I appreciate you. Those who are here, you know who they are. Thank you for coming in and supporting the show. You can also support it too by dropping a comment, hitting the like button, and sharing it out. That also helps out a lot. Um, we will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with filmmaker Brad Case will be here with us. And then on Friday night at 8 o'clock, the Schnoz Fest podcast group will be here with us. And we will be talking all things podcast and also Metro Detroit, that's where they are based out of. And we'll be talking about Detroit, a little bit of Lions, a little bit of everything. So that will be Friday night at 8 o'clock. I think, from what I understand, I'm not sure, but I think at 10 o'clock tonight, after this show is over, if you know who JT is, JT's Film Discussions, he will be doing a live interview with director Jim Warnowski. Jim Warnowski he's a staple in horror films. He made a lot of horror films in his career. Now he's doing more family-oriented stuff, and JT's got him on his show, and should be a lot of fun actually. But we're glad that you were here with us tonight.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, stay right where you're at for just 1 minute into the chat. Well, I'll say goodnight here, and we will see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Brad Case. Take care and peace.